Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, tenors, and anybody else who's joining. In fact, this tenor part is in places so high that if there are any altos and sopranos, well, joining us, I think you're going to feel very much at home in some of the registers that Beethoven decided to write for his tenors. It's really quite an exciting part. In fact, a famously kind of thrilling sing. Um, I have memories memories burnt into the sort of back of my head of when I sang this with the London Symphony Chorus, and I'd never sung it before. I've never sung it before, never sung it since, and it turns out that it's one of the pieces, fun enough, that choral societies sing all the time. So if you're in a choral society, or if you're in a symphony chorus, or really anyone who sings with an orchestra with any regularity or not any regularity, you've probably sung Beethoven 9, and it turns out you probably know it off by heart. So they only did one rehearsal pretty much until we were with the orchestra, and the orchestra was the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and it was Gustavo Dudamel conducting, and we were on tour. We played in this amazing concert hall in Paris, where you sit in choir stalls that feel like you're on a kind of cliff. They're kind of at that kind of angle. One of those amazing modern concert halls where there are people kind of coming out of the walls everywhere in funny seats. And all I could hear was myself, and myself having rehearsed it once, having not really known the piece, without the music, because we had to do it from memory. Um, yeah, it was a bit of an improvising experience, I would say. So I know I'm good at making this piece up as I go along as a tenor. But we have the luxury of having the score in front of us, and we have the luxury of several rehearsals. So we're going to get to know it well. So hopefully you won't be having an experience quite like the one that I had in Paris a few years ago. It was certainly a baptism by fire for singing this piece. It's great fun to sing, though. It really is. You know, the words are fantastic. And one of the nice things is, though, sometimes, although it's kind of quite wordy, the same words come back over and over again. So once you've got your tongue around them, you get a bit of mileage. Nothing worse than kind of having to get used to a really difficult bit of kind of patter. Lots of words squeezed into a short space of time, and then you don't get to sing them again. Whereas this piece, yeah, you get your money's worth when it comes to the words. Wonderful poem by Schiller, written in the kind of spirit of the French Revolution at the time, when kings were being overthrown and the people were taking charge and that kind of thing. Hence, it sings of all men being brothers, and all we need is kind of joy to bring us together and that kind of thing. But Schiller was so horrified when Louis XVI had his head cut off that he had to revise the words, as though he kind of didn't notice how violent the French Revolution was early on. That was sort of fine, and then when the king got his head cut off, Schiller thought, well, maybe I don't really want to associate myself too explicitly with those people. So he toned down a few of the more kind of the lines that were sort of full of revolutionary fervour. So there we go. A question. As is usual in the German pronunciation of Latin, what should we do? Hang on. I don't quite understand. As is usually in the German pronunciation of, maybe it's the first half of your question about the words. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Do you mean how do you pronounce the Latin words in a German accent? I think that's what you're asking. So, for example, the word that looks like Elysium, we'd say Elysium in English. That I've actually marked it in to scores. If you found your marked up score, Elysium is the way that we've gone for saying it. There's quite a lot of kind of debate about this, but let's go with Elysium. It doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is that we all sing it the same way. So let's go for Elysium. I don't think there are any other Latin words in this piece. Peter says, is my laptop battery okay? Yes, that I've remembered to plug myself in this time, but I'll double check just in case. Check that they're on. Yes, we're all okay. I've got 2 laptops here, one to play the music through, one to speak to you through, so it can be a bit confusing. Everything kind of crammed onto quite a small piano. Great. So we've got another kind of minute or so, and then we can get cracking. Great. We've got a good number of you here actually. As a tenor, I'm used to being kind of one of a smaller section. We're a rarer breed. It's in some ways kind of the most unusual voice type, because it's really not in the kind of natural register. But I think one of the most rewarding to sing. You know, you often get a combination of really exciting harmonies in the middle, and often you get the melody. And in this piece, we get to sing in a bit of divisi as well, where we sing in 2 separate parts in harmony, which will be really, really fun. We'll come to that today. It's an interesting fact about this piece is that when it was premiered in London, because German, talking of how do you pronounce German, great, yeah, Mark has posted where to find the score. It's, you know, I've not written a huge amount in, but I hope the things I've written in are helpful, and if some of them don't make sense, then I'll try and make sense of them as we go through. Yeah, but anyway, this piece was, when it was premiered in London, it was actually premiered in Italian, because it was seen as unseemly to sing in German. It wasn't seen as a kind of attractive. I think it's a beautiful language to sing in, but in those days it was seen as an ugly language to sing in, and really the only language you could possibly think of singing in any serious situation was Italian, which I think would have actually horrified Beethoven, because he didn't write it in German because he thought it was a nice language or anything. He wrote it in German so that people would actually just understand what the words mean. So if anything, the Londoners should have sung it in English, but they didn't. They sang it in Italian. And actually they had such a difficult time putting it together, and they spent so much money on it, that one of the newspaper reviews said that it seems unlikely that this piece will ever be performed in this country, which was not a particularly prophetic thing to say, shall we say. Yeah, Mark says, "Where's my baby grand?" It's I couldn't squeeze it into this living room, unfortunately. So I'm on a sort of slightly smaller upright, although you do need quite a big room for a grand piano, even a baby grand piano. They create quite a lot of noise, so I think it would have been a bit much having it in here. So I've got this little thing, so I don't annoy the neighbours too much. Which, once I'm allowed to let a piano tuner into my house, I'll get it tuned. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It could be worse. Okay, so it is 8 o'clock, or it is where I am. I wonder if we've got anyone joining from abroad, and I'm sure we'll have. Certainly, if it's like the basses yesterday, we had quite a lot of people watching back, which is great. So, hello to those watching live. Hello to those watching back. Hello to those who watch live and watch back. You can just watch as ever you like. I know 8 o'clock in the evening might be a great time for some people and not a great time for others. So, you're completely at your own. You can do what you like. Okay, let's do a little bit of warming up. For those who did the Mahler with me, you'll know that one of my favourite warm-ups is lip trilling, which is when you put your lips together and just force air out between them, like that, like a motorbike. And what it does is it really engages your tummy muscles, because you've got a bit of resistance against the air. If you just breathe out, your lungs just do that almost completely naturally. But if you have resistance, like that, you have to engage those tummy muscles. And those are the muscles you need when you're singing. Yeah, I see. Yeah, you're in Holland. Great. Okay, so let's do just one long exhalation on a lip trill. That's it. Good stuff. See how long you can go for, and as you go through, just kind of gently start to expand your register. So just start somewhere in the middle, kind of speaking register, and then go up and down. Not any particular pitch, just kind of go for it. So deep breath in. Very good. Yeah, you should really feel that engaging. And when you sing, as we do one of these warm-ups, make sure you use those muscles. It's one of the kind of support is one of those words that singing teachers use all the time, and nobody's quite sure what it means, but if anything is support, it's engaging those muscles. Let's just, on an R, just do open fifths. R, going up. R, nice wide vowel. minor. E, 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 any vowel you like. Just about there to an F. It's reaching the top of my register. We get up to an A in this piece, but we'll get there later. And let's just do one of my old favourites, Popper Caterpillar. Get the lips and teeth, tongue, everything going in your mouth. Because we need those for German consonants. So the words are pop a caterpillar. Those of you who did the Mahler will know that. And those of you who don't, you're in for a treat. So starting... Pop a caterpillar, 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 pop. Very good. And then pop a caterpillar, 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 pop. Pop a caterpillar, 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 pop. And hello to a soprano who's just joined. Pop a caterpillar, 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 pop. Very good. Okay, I think that's enough. Always important not to over warm up. So let's have a look at our first entry then. If you've got my marked up score, you'll see a green letter A on page 8. And I've split the movement up for recording purposes into sections A to H. So when you come to record it, you just record one section at a time. And that's broadly how we're going to rehearse it as well. For me, as much as for anyone, it just helps keep, what is a 25-minute long piece into kind of comprehensible chunks. Otherwise it can all kind of flow into one. So I hope these letters and sections help us orientate ourselves. And when you come to record it, it just means you can revise, practice, prepare for one section, then record it, and then you don't need to worry about it. So you never need to have the whole piece at full capacity in your head at any one time until we come to sing the thing. But in the performance, somehow it's less pressure than when you're recording, I find recording at home way more pressurizing in some ways than performing. So we'll do it in small chunks. Right, so we start at figure D. The basses kick us off with a couple of Freuders, and you know what, you're very welcome if you want to join in with those Freuders. At the Allegro assai, where it goes Freude, Freude. Feel free to join in with those. They're good fun. We don't need to rehearse them because they're jolly easy. But I see no reason why that should really be confined to the basses anyway. But anyway, where the serious business starts is figure D, bottom of page 9, where we've got this Deine Zauber. Just to go over the German very quickly. Deine Zauber, so Z in German is a TS. Deine Zauber binden wieder, always a V, voiced V for W's. Was die Morde, like the woman's name Maud, Morde, streng, S-H-T really, streng geteilt. So when there's an S and a T, you add an H. When there's a T and an H, you get rid of the H. So streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weit. So we've got two U's there with umlauts. And U's with umlauts in German are just an E sound with an U mouth. So EU, Brüder, Brüder. This is like a bright U. Not U, but U. Brüder. And always a lovely rolled R on that. It's really always all about Brüder, this piece, brothers. And those words mean Deine Zauber, your magic, Zauber, binden, binds together again, binden wieder, was die Mode, that which convention, literally like the mode, convention streng geteilt, has strictly divided. All men will become brothers. Alle Menschen werden Brüder. Wo dein sanfter, where your gentle Flügel, wings, weilt, sort of linger, float. So there we go. Basically, wherever joy is, wherever Freude is, everyone's going to be friends. Shall we just say those words in rhythm? Deine Zauber, with me. So from figure D, just the words without the notes. 1, 2. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Yeah, very good. Alle, really kick that fourth beat. Streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder. Because most of the time in this music, in kind of late 18th century, early 20th century, early 19th century music, there was still very much a convention of strong and weak beats. So when we're in 4/4, the strongest beat is the first beat, and the second strongest beat is the third beat. 2 and 4 are weak. So Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. But then Beethoven upsets the apple cart and sticks alle Menschen on the fourth beat. So he hasn't written any extra articulation because it would be so blindingly obvious to a singer in the 1820s that, you know, when you've got a note like that stuck there on a fourth beat, it's an out of place accent. So we go streng geteilt alle Menschen. Great. Okay, let's try it with the notes. Deine. We're all over the place in this one. He can't quite decide which octave he's in. So let's try it slowly. Deine Zauber, that kind of speed. 1 and 2 and Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. My mistake at the end there. Very good. Flügelweilt. We'll hold Weilt for its full length and then a T on the downbeat. So Flügelweilt. Not a mega strong T, but a clean one. Let's just try that together. Just Flügelweilt. 1, 2. Flügelweilt. Very good. Yeah, Weilt. So va, it's almost like an R vowel for the whole thing, and then we just stick in the ilt at the end. Weilt. Yeah. Okay. Just watch out for those octave leaps. Deine Zauber is the first one, and then streng geteilt. Really leaps up there. Streng geteilt. Let's just try that. Just those 3 notes. 1 and 2. And streng geteilt. Ah. Yeah, let's stick in the R at the end as well. 1, 2. Streng geteilt. Ah. Very good. And then from that we go alle Menschen down the octave. So just from alle Menschen. 1, 2. Alle Menschen. Very good. Yeah. And then at lastly, werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. So we leap up the octave again there. Let's just go from werden Brüder. 1, 2. Werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Perfect. So 3 or 4 slightly weird leaps. I think it's because he sort of wanted to use the high register of the tenors to enforce the altos, and he sort of wanted to use the low register of the tenors to double the basses, and he didn't quite decide which one to settle on. So we've got a kind of mix of the two. So many thanks to Beethoven for not making that decision. Let's try it from D. Deine 1, 2. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Good stuff. Well done. Sanfter with a Z, like an English Z instead of an S at the beginning. Yeah, built exactly. You know, if in doubt, the altos will cover it. You can always falsetto. You know, I've no doubt that 90% of tenors who sing this piece falsetto 90% of the piece. So you will not be alone. And it really doesn't make a difference to the kind of quality of the sound, and it makes a difference very much to the quality of your enjoyment of not having to scream your head off at the top of your register. So falsetto, whatever you want. Very good. Yeah. Let's have a nice was on vasti moda. It would sound a bit weird if you went vasti moda. So kind of was, throw it away. Once more, and then we'll go on. Deiner. 1, 2. Deiner Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Perfect. Well done. Okay, so then, as is a pattern that we'll see emerging in this piece, we get a little break while the soloists do their thing. Because you've got to give soloists a bit of time to kind of show off a bit. And then we come in at figure E on page 12. And there's a rather amusing entry from the basses, where the basses, perhaps he didn't like the bass section and thought, do you know what, I'm going to write their entry a crotchet early. And then everyone in the audience is going to think, those basses, they just can't count. They just think it's all about them. They're trying to come in early. But you don't come in early, you come in on the beat. In fact, there's a funny story about that there's a similar moment in Beethoven's Third Symphony, the Eroica, where just before the main theme comes back in the sort of second half of the piece, everything goes really quiet. It goes very tense. And a horn, the third horn, not the first horn, the third horn, plays the theme. And it's over the wrong chord. So it's designed to sound as though he's playing the theme early, and then the whole orchestra comes crashing in, and then they play the theme. It's intentional. It's like a joke. But in the first rehearsal for the piece, Beethoven was sitting next to a friend of his, who, when the horn came in the right place that sounds early, this man stood up and said, "Stupid horn coming in early, can't you count?" And Beethoven stood up with the score and just whacked him on the head. So there we go. Best not to piss off Beethoven. Yeah, that's your starting note. Let's just sing it to la. So we'll do it the other way around. We'll do the notes and then the text. So all la 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 on E. 1, 2. La 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 la. Great. It's kind of variations on a theme in terms of the melody. So, important things to note in this one. A couple of kind of awkward turns. C sharp, C sharp, C sharp, A sharp. Oh, Andrew says, have I frozen? I don't think I've frozen, but maybe I have. It's like, can anybody hear me? Kind of, yeah. Can anyone who's not present please raise their hand? Okay. Anyone else shout if I've frozen? Okay, but I'm going to keep going in the hope that you can all hear me. Yeah, so watch out for that C sharp to the A sharp in bar 3. La, 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 la. Let's just do that. 1, 2. La, 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 la. Yeah, very good. And then we got another syncopation in the next bar. La, 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 la. That's in bar 4. La, 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 la. So really hit that fourth beat on the D, really strong, right on the nose. La, 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 la. And then we got a sforzato on the third beat of the fifth bar, on that E, on the word ni. So the fourth and fifth bar go la, 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 la. Really emphasize both of them. Just with me. 1, 2. La, 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 la. Yeah, exactly. And then after that, a diminuendo. So we've been forte, and then it kind of runs away. La, 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 la. Yeah, let's try that from the fourth bar, just to la still. 1, 2. La, 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 la. Very good. Okay, so let's try the words now. And the words are Ja, wer auch nur eine Seele. Ja, wär auch nur eine Seele. Yes, as long as someone can call one soul, sein nennt auf den Erdenrund, their own on this earth, on this round earth, sein nennt auf dem Erdenrund. Und wer's nie gekonnt, der Stähler weinend sich auch diesem Bund. And anyone who can't, they can run away crying, weinend. Maybe did I say weinend? Weinend. Und wer's nie gekonnt, der Stähler weinend sich auch diesem Bund. Sich aus, sich aus. Let's try the words with the rhythm. No notes, words and rhythm. 3 components and then we'll stick them all together. So from Ja. 1, 2. Ja, wer auch nur eine Seele sein nennt auf dem Erdenrund, und wer's nie gekonnt, der Stähler weinen sich auch diesem Bund. And just like the last one, a full minim at the end. Well done. Let's try, before we add the notes, words, rhythm, dynamics. So, starting forte, accent on und, accent on nie, and then diminuendo for the end. Okay, 1, 2. Ja, wer auch nur eine Seele sein nennt auf dem Erdenrund, und wer's nie gekonnt, der Stähler weinen sich auch diesem Bund. Great. Okay. And look, all of this stuff, if you need to do it a few more times, just pause me, rewind me, whatever. But let's try it with the notes as well. Ja. So, 1, 2. Ja, wer auch nur eine Seele sein nennt auf dem Erdenrund, und wer's nie gekonnt, der Stähler weinen sich aus diesem Bund. Well done. Yeah, not easy that. Okay, that's one to keep an eye on. Let's keep going. Our next entry is at G. So this is page 15. And this one is a bit of a howler, but it's only short. And it's not as difficult as it seems at first. It's just a matter of familiarity. So, I'll just sing it for you once. Kusse gab sie uns und Reben, einen Freund geprüft im Tod, wo Lust war dem Bohm gehen, und der Cherub steht vor Gott. So, bit of a tongue twister. It's sort of like a musical labyrinth. Lots of kind of moseying about. So let's try it just with the R, quite slowly. 1 and 2 and Well done. Yeah, it's almost harder slow in some ways because you kind of run out of breath. Great. Okay, let's sort of park the notes for a while, let them sink in, and have a look at the words. Küsse gab sie uns und Reben. Küsse gab sie uns und Reben. Einen Freund geprüft im Tod. Wohllust ward dem Wurm gegeben, und der Cherub steht vor Gott. So, not too many tricky ones there. Küsse is another umlaut. Kisses, gab sie, she gives us kisses, uns, und Reben, and wine, old-fashioned word for wine. Einen Freund geprüft im Tod. A friend even in death. Tod. geprüft. Freund, just like Freude, an oi vowel. And then Wollust war dem Wurm gegeben. Even the worm was given desire. So what this is talking about, to give you some context for some slightly strange words, the soloists have just been singing about Mother Nature. So nature, she gives us kisses and wine. She's a true friend even in death. Even the worm was given desire. So that's why we're talking about worms. And then the last words, und der Cherub steht vor Gott. And the cherub, just like in English, but we say Cherub in German, like it with a K, steht vor Gott, stands before God. So it's a slightly quaint bit of Schiller. Let's try that to the rhythm, so to speak. I mean, it's quite hard to kind of rhythmically sing the quavers, but let's do it just to get the words into our bones. So Küsse, 1, 2, 3, 4. Küsse gab sie uns und Reben, einen Freund geprüft im Tod. Wollust ward dem Wurm gegeben, und der Cherub steht vor Gott. Well done, yeah, and we put the t on the fourth crotchet of that bar. Yes, nice rolled R's. And there's another sforzando there on Cherub. And like I say, so there are, a hierarchy of beats in this period of music. And so what he's saying there is the third beat, which is usually the second strongest beat in the bar, should be the strongest. So, und der Cherub steht vor Gott. So sort of slightly upset the balance there. Wurm gegeben und der Cherub. And the cherub stands before God. There's an accent on steht as well, because that's the downbeat of the bar. Great, okay. Now I don't want to run before we can walk. But let's try it slowly with words and with notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Küsse gab sie uns und Reben, einen Freund geprüft im Tod, Wollust war dem Wurm gegeben, und der Cherub steht vor Gott. Well done. A few tips to get your head around it. There's an unfortunate way the music has been printed for this piece, which is that an awful lot of the line breaks are really difficult jumps. So going from the first line to the second line of page 15, geprüft. Geprüft. We've got to go all the way down there, and it's hard to notice that on the line break. It always catches me out. A trick I would do is just write the E, the octave below, at the very end of the line before. So when you're just singing the high E, the Ge, at the end of the line, you've just got a quick reminder that the next note is an octave below. So that whole bar, einen Freund geprüft. And when you're doing all this noodling, find the kind of anchor note, which is usually a D, because we're in D major. Einen Freund it always comes back to it. So kind of orientate yourself around that D. But apart from that, we just need to kind of get used to this bit. So let's sing it once more from G. Küsse, 1, 2. Küsse gab sie uns und Reben, einen Freund geprüft im Tod, Wollust war dem Wurm gegeben, und der Cherub steht vor Gott. Right, nearly ran out of air there. Yeah, the other thing to note is the last bar of page 15, where we've got that C natural. So we go from Wollust war dem Wurm. Tritone. Nasty interval to sing. Most difficult interval to sing, really. Perhaps apart from sort of nights and that kind of thing. Yeah. Dem Wurm. Just sing that. Dem Wurm. 1 and Dem Wurm. Yeah, good. Not easy. And then here, orientate yourself really around the B. Wurm. Ge. And then around the C sharp. Ge. Ban. So hang on to that B, hang on to that C sharp. Wurm ge ge ban. It will start to make sense, I promise. Okay, let's keep going. Und der Cherub steht vor Gott. He likes this line, and he repeats it. And thankfully, it's all a bit easier. Having had lots of quavers, we get stuck in glorious, spacious minims. So this bit goes, I'll just sing it for you. Und der Cherub steht vor Gott, steht vor Gott, vor Gott, vor Gott. Miraculous harmonic change there. Beethoven often kind of given a bit of a hard time for what people say is kind of quite a straightforward harmonic language, which it usually is. You know, Beethoven sticks to well-known chords, but he knows when to pack a punch, when to surprise you, and that is such a moment. It's like they say the cherub stands before God, and it's almost like the cherub hasn't quite looked up at God, and then he looks up at God and thinks, wow, that's actually God. It really sounds like that, to me anyway. So, less tricky this bit. Things to note. Minims with dots over them. Staccato minims, so to speak. It's a very ambiguous marking staccato. But here, I think we just half the length of the note. So sing them like crotchets. Und der Cherub steht vor Gott. Steht vor Gott. Always breathless. Again, kind of excited, you know. This cherub is standing in front of God himself and can't quite catch the breath. And we're only forte to begin with, and then fortissimo when we get to the second Gott. So let's try. 1, 2. Und der Cherub steht vor Gott, steht vor Gott, vor Gott. For God. Very long note. So watch for the cut-off there. That's a note where the audience just need to be pinned to the back of their seats in awe. I can't believe what's just happened. And I'll slow up going into it. So I'll go into 4 for the last for God. 1, 2, 4, or God. Like that. Great. Let's try the whole thing together. So let's go back to G, see how G is feeling, and we'll keep going into the next bit. Again, often coming back to that D. The one saving grace of this bit is that you're kind of never too far away from that note. So if in doubt, sing a D. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Kusse gab sie uns und Reben einen Freund geprüft, ihm Tod wollust war dem vorgegeben, und der Cherub steht vor Gott, und der Cherub steht vor Gott, steht vor Gott. For God, to for God. That's it. Yeah, sorry, I messed up the penultimate note. Well done. I hope that first bit is just slowly kind of sinking in. Good stuff. Okay, we'll come back to this stuff before we finish. We will come back and have a sing through with the master track, so you don't have to hear me sing it too much. So next bit, one of my favourite bits, is what's known as the Turkish March. but sounds a bit like the Sorcerer's Apprentice to begin with. Contrabassoon. It's called Turkish March because it has Turkish percussion in it, Turkish cymbals. Famously, the Turks good at hammering molten metal, making cymbals. I mean, I'm not sure how sort of authentically Turkish it might be in this day and age, but as far as Beethoven's concerned, this is what Turkish music sounded like. So it's a kind of exotic moment. And you get this tenor solo. Froh, froh, wie seine Sonne. He kind of kicks things off. And then when we get to page 20, we get to join in the fun. Like a kind of open-air, alpine, close harmony choir, really. You know, we sing in nice... really is like kind of truly kind of almost yodeling style music. Extremely jaunty. That's the word I would apply to it. Jaunty. So I'll go through tenor 2 and then I'll go through tenor 1. So tenor 2 goes like this. Laufet Brüder eurer Bahn, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen, wie ein Held zum Siegen. 1, 2, 1, 2. Freudig, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen. Quite straightforward, really. And then tenor 1, not too dissimilar, just usually about a third up. Laufet Brüder eurer Bahn, freudig wie ein Held. Held zum Siegen, wie ein Held zum Siegen. 1, 2, basses go. Freudig, 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 wie ein Held zum Siegen. That's all there is to this bit. Let's try the words. Laufet Brüder eure Bahn. Run your course, brothers. Bahn, like Autobahn. Freudig, joyfully, it's our favourite word. Wie ein Held, like a hero. Zum Siegen, one who conquers things. So, yeah, you know, sort of go happy, be lucky, or is it the other way around? Let's try the words in rhythm, and then we'll do the notes. So, everyone together, because we've got the same words in the same rhythms. Laufet. 1, 2, 1, 2. Laufet, Brüder eure Bahn, freudig, wie ein Held zum Siegen, wie ein Held zum Siegen. 2, 1, 2. Freudig, freudig, wie ein Held zum Siegen. Great, well done. Not too many tricky words, I don't think. Eure, that's a tricky one. Oi, like oi, eure Bahn, freudig, wie ein Held zum Siegen. So z for the z, z for the s. It's kind of a bit weird German spelling in that respect. Zum Siegen, wie ein Held zum Siegen. Good stuff. Okay, one more thing to note is the note lengths are quite specifically notivated. That's a good word, but let's stick with notated in this bit. We've got crotchets and we've got dotted crotchets. Basically, dotted crotchets are long, full length. Crotchets are short. So, for example, bar 1 is crotchets. Laufet. So it's a bit unnatural, really. Laufet. But he's trying to get it to sound jaunty. Laufet. Wouldn't be the same if it was Laufet. Sound a bit odd. Laufet and then long. Brüder eure Bahn. And then freudig and wie ein are long short. Freudig, wie ein. I hope that makes sense. And then Held zum is short long. Held zum Siegen. Zum Siegen. And then wie ein Held zum Siegen. And then freudig, long short. Freudig, freudig, wie ein Held. And he's been a bit lazy with the notation there. The second time wie ein Held comes in, he's like, well, it was short before, so you get the idea. Sing it short the second time. So that time it should be crotchets rather than dotted crotchets. Wie ein Held zum Siegen. So let's try that with the articulation. No notes for now, but words and the long and the short ones in the right place. 1, 2, 1, 2. Laufet, Brüder, eure Bahn, freudig wie... sorry. Start again. Freudig wie ein. My fault. From the top. 1, 2, 1, 2. Laufet, Brüder, eure Bahn, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen, wie ein Held zum Siegen. 1, 2, 1, 2. Freudig, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen. Great, well done. Last thing, we've got those sforzandos on freudig. Partly because that's the first time. The first one is the really first time we've been on our own without the tenor solo above us. So really, freudig. You really throw those ones out there. Really joyful. That's the idea. Until then, keep the dynamic kind of mezzo forte. It always reminds me of the Monty Python Lumberjack song. You know, whenever there's a sketch in Monty Python's Flying Circus and you can tell the Lumberjack song's about to start, you hear this kind of male voice choir in the distance, joining in slowly, getting closer and louder and louder. I think that's the effect here. You've got the tenor singing his solo, and then in the background we start going Laufet, Brüder, eure Bahn, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen, kind of gaining confidence and getting more and more present. And then by the time we go freudig, we are in the room and the Lumberjack song has truly begun. So, you know, keep it buoyant, lively, jaunty at the beginning, but not too loud, and then you can really, you know, be confident by the time we get to the last bit. So tenor 2s, let's have you with the notes. Tenor 1, feel free to join in as well, and we'll do tenor 1 on their own in a second. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Laufet, Brüder, eure Bahn, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen, wie ein Held zum Siegen. 1, 2, 1, 2. Freudig, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen. Great, yeah. Having said, you know, give it the full beans at the end. Hit the front of those long notes, but don't keep them loud all the way through, because we want to be able to hear the tenor above you going. Oh, he's got his B flats at the top. I mean, I think we'll probably hear them, but just release the sound on those long notes. Wie ein Held zum Siegen. So strong to begin with, and then come away, and then you can hit the last note. Good stuff. Let's try first tenors. Laufet. 1, 2, 1, 2. Laufet, Brüder, eure Bahn, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen, wie ein Held zum Siegen. 1, 2, 1, 2. Freudig, freudig wie ein Held zum Siegen. Well done, yeah. So, how about it? Everybody together. 1, 2, 1, 2. Laufet, Brüder, eure Bahn, freudig, freudig, Welt zum Siegen, wie ein Held zum Siegen. 1, 2, freudig, 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 wie ein Held zum Siegen. Well done, yeah, I messed up the words, but I'm sure you did not. Well done. Yeah, it's great fun, that bit. Really a bit to enjoy. Okay, let's do one more bit, and then we can go back and kind of sing a few bits through with the master track. So, going into part D, the green letter D, which is page 24, leading into page 25, where we come in at figure M. The famous moment, really. The big chorus. Everybody knows it. Elysium. So there's our Latin word. Freude, schöne Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium. Joy, wonderful spark of God, Tochter aus Elysium, daughter of Elysium. It's very kind of highfalutin stuff, this. Wir betreten Feuertrunken, himmlische, dein Heiligtum. Wir betreten Feuertrunken, himmlische, dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder. So we've had these words before. They weren't all sung by you. So that's why some of them are familiar, maybe some of them aren't. What they mean is, Freude, schöne Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten Feuertrunken. We enter burning, Feuertrunken is burning with fervor. Himmlische, dein Heiligtum. O heavenly one, dein Heiligtum, your sanctuary, sanctorium. Deine Zauber binden wieder, your magic binds us together. We've had these before, was die Mode streng geteilt. So the first bit was just sung by the bass before, but now we all sing it. Okay, we get the tune a bit, but not always. So important to kind of remember when we're singing the tune and we're not singing the tune. Begins with the tune. Freude, schöne Götter. I'm in the wrong key. Freude, schöne Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten Feuertrunken, himmlische, dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein Flügel weilt. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. So, this one is more value for money. Quite straightforward, mostly the same 3 notes and familiar text, so it all starts to pay dividends at this point. Let's just try it, see how it goes. So from M, Freude, 1, 2, 1, 2. Freude, schöne Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten Feuertrunken, himmlischer dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo sanfter Flügel weilt. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Good stuff. Well done. I hope that felt kind of vaguely familiar in a way. Only a few things really to worry about here. Remember Elysium. And remember the sforzandos. They're very important. Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten Feuertrunken, himmlische dein Heiligtum. So, sort of on the flip side, himmlische, it's a slightly weird bit of underlay there. Don't emphasize the sh, even though it's on a downbeat. It's himmlische. So, himmlische dein Heiligtum. So kind of pull away from the sh a little bit. But then more of these wonderful syncopated accents on alle Menschen. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. So again, he really wants the important words emphasized. Good stuff. Let's try that once more, and then we'll go back and see if we can stick it all together. Freude, 1 and 2, and Freude, schöne Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten Feuertrunken, himmlische dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mutter streng getan. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mutter streng getan. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. Great. We'll save the next bit for next time. It is a good bit. Let's go back then to where we started and sing some of it through with our backing tracks, which I hope the tech has been being characteristically fickle with this, but I hope that what you'll hear is in one ear, your left ear, you'll hear mostly the other singers. Somewhere in the kind of middle you'll hear the piano, and then in your right ear, loud, you'll hear the tenor part being sung by the wonderful tenor from Sansara. So let's see how that goes. So this is what I call part A, which starts at the bottom of page 8, and we come in at the bottom of page 9. So you'll hear Tom doing his little solo, the baritone. Feel free to join in with the first Freuders. And here we go. Okay, that's your starting note. For Dinah, that is.
Freude,
Freude.
Freude, Freude, schöne Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium, wir betreten feuertrunken, himmlische dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode strenge trennt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt.
Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng getan. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt.
Good stuff. So in these solo bits, I've just included the bass. Makes it a little easier to follow. Here we go. 1, 2.
Ja, wir auch nur eine Seele sein, denn auf dem Erdenrund. Und wenn ich der Kopf der Stimme weint sich auf diesen Mund.
Great. Yeah. So there we go. That is part A. Lovely. I hope it felt a bit familiar, at least. But these will only get more familiar. So part B, which starts pretty much straight thereafter. And again, in the solo stuff, I've muted the top 3 voices so you could just follow the bass line. Otherwise, sometimes it can be a bit of a headache to follow. So you get a bit of a break. And that's your starting note for when it comes. So this is the top of 13. Nice to know you're not the only ones who have to deal with the endless quavers. And one, two. Well done. So you'll hear that I perhaps want the staccato minims a bit more exaggerated than the pro singers do in that track. So feel free to go for it. Und der Cherub. It'll make it really high impact, especially with a big choir, which is what we are. Okay, so I hope it helps having him in your ear. Not often you get kind of tenor like that stuck in your ear. So here we go. Let's have a look at part C, which is starting at the bottom of page 19, and we come in at the top of 20. Let's go with tenor 1 in the right ear for now. So here we go. It goes just 4 bars before you come in this one. And that's your starting note. It's an F. 4 bars and you're in. 1, 2. Great. Well done. And since we've got time, let's do it, but with tenor 2. So same thing with tenor 2. So that's your C to begin with. Tenor 1's tenors 1 if you want to sing along in tenor 1 as well. Up to you. 1, 2. Good. Great. I do love that bit. It's just so much fun. Okay, and then there's a kind of furious orchestral episode where they really go absolutely mental, and they finish up on this fixed on an F sharp. And there's like a little premonition of the tune, but just... and then we come in. So listen out for it. This is starting last 2 systems of 24. I'll bring you in at M. So there we go. That's your D. Sort of. Is that the tune? Do I remember it? Maybe not. Who knows? What's about to happen? This is about to happen. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Freude, schöne Götter, Funken, Tochter aus Elysium, wie betrecken, Freude trinken, himmlisch hält dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode strenget hat. Allen Menschen wilden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weicht. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode strenget hat. Allen Menschen wilden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weicht.
Great. And that's the big tune. Well done. I've tried to go for tempos that are not too kind of wild. I think sometimes people get a bit too excited in this piece. It's always the way when pieces are done over and over again. The fast tempos get faster and the slow tempos go slower. But I think there's a strong argument for some moderation, so you can actually take the time to enjoy singing it. I noticed then that our dear tenor in the track sang Elysium, which is a very valid interpretation of the word, but not the one that I've decided to go for. So please, just for that single syllable, ignore the vowel he's saying and go for Elysium. I think he's done Elysium elsewhere, but it's a huge task recording this whole thing, as you will find out. So I think we can forgive him one slip. So great stuff. That has covered more than half the piece, pretty much. So we've got a few chunks left, and we'll do them next week. Only one bit that I think is going to cause us any kind of headache, and that is kind of 34, 35, 36, 37. So we'll spend some good time on that. But the rest, there's nothing too challenging. It's mostly just to be enjoyed. And even the tricky bits, you will start to enjoy, I promise you. Like I say, it's a difficult sing for sure, but it's a very rewarding sing, and I think it's one that is quite easy to get into your bones. So the more you do it, the more you'll get it, and the more you'll sing it. And really, it's a piece that is part of our kind of cultural DNA as a planet, really. So you're learning something that is for sure worth learning. So thank you very much. You're always welcome to join alto and soprano rehearsals if you want to see the alto parts, which are often not as high as the tenor parts. Likewise, if you want to watch this rehearsal back, you're very welcome to. We've got a full rehearsal on Sunday. All of these backing tracks are on, I think you've got a PDF with all the links in, so you can always access them and sing along with them whenever you like. If you don't want to watch back the rehearsals and sing along with me crooning away here, you've got the pros right by your side, in fact, right in your right ear. So you've got, I hope, everything you need to get heads around this piece. Listen to recordings, sing along to recordings. It's what we're all about here. Really enjoy yourselves. Thank you, and I will see you at the full rehearsal, if not before. For those of you who it's the evening, good night.